Rob here with my Week 6 review. Going to talk about the videos that I posted, how my picks did. Then going to do the review of my Millie Maker lineup and talk about some Monday night sweats I've got going on. My bold call, Cameron Meredith. Everything looked great there. Went over the 100 yards, got the bonus. I did say something along the lines of 2 touchdowns, I believe. That might have been a little bit excessive. He did not get in the end zone, but still coming up with 25 fantasy points for you on 15 targets, 11 catches, over 100 yards, in 1 point PPR. That is just a monster. He's only 4,700 on Thursday night slate. Definitely going to want to get some Cam Meredith in your lineups for the Thursday night slate. As far as my Rob's reached up and got Odell Beckham Jr. OBJ was proposing to the hitting nets this week. 222 yards, 2 touchdowns, something along those lines anyways. It was a huge week. 44 DraftKings points. He hit big. I had him in some lineups. Didn't have him in all my lineups, unfortunately, but definitely had Odell in my lineups. Reached up to be contrarian and drafted Odell at 8,500. Ezekiel Elliott, got him in there as well. Had a big week. Did not get in the end zone, unfortunately, but just like I thought with that offensive line of his, the good Green Bay defense was I think more their stats, their ranking was more a cause of who they had played as opposed to how good they actually are. And that Dallas offensive line just opened up some gaping holes. Zeke rushed for over 150, put up 25 DraftKings points. Going to move into my Millie Maker lineup now and then talk about some Thursday sweats. All right, let's talk about this DraftKings Millionaire Maker lineup, finishing 8,590th place, making $45, more than doubling our money with 183.2 points. That's out of 256,000 entrants. Went with Drew Brees. I'm surprised he was only 10% owned. I figured he'd be at least 20%. He finished as the top scoring quarterback on the week, at home, on turf, in the Coors Field of the NFL. He just made too much sense for me there. Went with one of my Rob's reaches and put Ezekiel Elliott only at 5.9% with that offensive line. I think it's fantastic to get him at that low of ownership. Put up 22.4 points, put more points up than Le'Veon Bell did. Really liked Zeke this week as a bit of a contrarian play. Shady McCoy was my number one play. He was the second most owned player of the week. He was the guy I owned the most, but Le'Veon Bell was higher owned by a couple percent than Le'Veon. Le'Veon obviously went off for 37 DraftKings points. Shady was only outscored by Odell, I believe, on the week. Cam Meredith, already talked about him a little bit. He was my bold call. 15 targets, 11 catches, 25 points. Eli Rogers, I thought he made a lot of sense when the news came out about Coates' hand injury being worse than originally thought. I thought Coates was actually not going to play. He did end up playing. He played 17 snaps, did Sammy Coates, had 4 targets and didn't catch any. Eli Rogers had 5 targets, didn't do a whole lot with them, but he did put up 7.5 points, so he more than doubled his cost. Not bad. Michael Thomas kept his streak of touchdowns going, got in the end zone again for the 3rd straight week, hit and pay dirt, put up 18.8 points, 15% owned. He correlated with Drew Brees, stacked with Drew Brees, of course. Then I did a game stack with Greg Olsen, just under 10% owned, put up 15 DraftKings points. It's too bad he didn't get another 6 yards. He would have hit the 3-point DraftKings 100-yard bonus as he put up 94 yards. Obviously, Gronk was the play to have at tight end this week if you're paying up. But I just didn't like Gronk as much as the rest of the crowd, I guess. Jordan Howard, he was 17% owned. Good thing he hit pay dirt because otherwise he was a bit of a bust. After playing on 90% of the snaps the last 2 weeks, he only played on 65% of the snaps this week. Kadeem Carey ate into a bunch of his snaps, and I'm going to have to monitor that going forward this week. If it looks like that's going to be the same coming up for the Thursday slate, then I'm not going to have any Howard going in my Thursday lineups. Could have been they were just trying to keep him fresh because knowing they're playing on Thursday, I'm not sure. But playing in a game they lost, that doesn't really make much sense to me. I did get the Seahawks defense in, even though they gave up a lot of points. They still put up 8 themselves, so I'm happy with that play as well. Gonna have a quick look now at my top scoring lineup of the week. Had 202 points out of this lineup, finished in 215th place out of 44,000 in the cover 4 3-entry max. The 3-entry tournaments are a nice way to avoid the high limit player who max enters all these tournaments. This keeps them down to only being able to enter 3 lineups into this contest. I went with Marcus Mariota at quarterback to save some salary. Liked Mariota against Cleveland this week. He had a big week for me. I had Shady and Miller paired up in this lineup. Both obviously had huge weeks. Worked out really well. Lamar finally got going, got in the end zone against that soft Colts defense. Went with Rob's reach. Put Odell Beckham in there. Got Odell at 3.6% ownership. He will not be that low again this year. Great to get Odell at that low of ownership in these tournaments. Went with Bry God Butler. Bry God is an absolute beast. He's an animal. He's a physical freak. When Dez is out, I like using Bryce. Only 1.5% ownership. He did get in the end zone. Unfortunately, he didn't get a whole lot of targets. Cam Meredith, we've already talked about him. I love Delaney this week, pairing him up with Mariota. Unfortunately, that did not work out well for me, but I had a lot of Mariota paired up with Delaney, and Delaney kind of laid an egg. Gio was a little bit tilting watching Gio Bernard have 3 rushes from the 1-yard line and get stuffed on all 3, including a 4th and 1. If you add another 6 points to his score right here, I'm looking at probably twice as much money as what I actually won in this contest. Went with the Bills D, only put up 6 points, but not bad. I found it tough to find a D I liked this week. That's my top scoring lineup of the week. Here's a look at my Monday night sweats. So in the 200K gridiron and the 35K gridiron, I have John Brown still to go. Those are $27 entry tournaments. So just by moving up a few spots in those tournaments, I'm definitely going to increase my money. So here's to John Brown having a good week. And in this last tournament I've got down here, the NFL 125K play action, I have Carson Palmer and John Brown going. Only need another 10 to 15 points to get into the cash on that one. So I'm expecting to get in the money there and increase the amount of money I'm winning on these 2 gridiron contests. I've got John Brown going still, like I said, in both those, and had lots of Lamar Miller and Drew Brees in both those lineups as well, which certainly helped out, and had Odell Beckham going in the 200K gridiron there. So that put me up to those 169 points. Well, that's it for my Monday article. Look for Peach Symes lineup review later today, and starting Thursday, we're going to have some Week 7 videos starting with Thursday's thoughts. Thanks again, and good luck tonight.